going to talk budget knives, as in inexpensive. Hey everybody, welcome to Cards and Sharps. How y'all doing? Good. I'm doing good. Enjoying this good weather we're having here. All right, what we have here is some Chinese-made knives called, by Ganzo is the maker, and a couple of these are Ganzo and then branded as Firebird. Some of you may have heard of these. The first one here, you'll notice some familiar features. One is a slide lock that is very reminiscent of one by a well-known company called Benchmade. It works pretty much the same way. I found these typically have a pretty stiff spring in them when they come out, but they do loosen up with use. But what we're looking at is a knife that is a budget knife. All three of these were priced in around the $25 range, I believe. You can pick up some of their knives cheaper than that. This one is actually, it's got carbon fiber scales. I can't really tell. I don't think that's a full slab of carbon fiber on there. I think it's just like a laminate that looks, I don't know if you can see that there, but maybe a 32nd thick. And then these other two, I believe they bill them as G10, and they kind of feel like G10. All three of these examples do have their version of the axis lock, and they work the same way. Okay, let's kind of work from, we'll start with the cleaver here. This is a cleaver knife. It's not really a sheep's foot or anything. It's nothing but it's a cleaver. That's all I can think to call it. And it's got the carbon fiber scales. It has a nice feel to it. Has this forward finger choil. Now I have found that blade is sharpened all the way to that point right there, and you got to be careful when you get your finger in there, because this knife came out of the box insanely sharp, and I've nicked myself just when I put my finger in that choil to use this knife. And it does have jumping on the back, so when you get in here you can really choke up and get in there and use it for some detail work. And actually, I can't imagine what you would use this knife for carrying, unless you just want to go around chopping things. I use this knife in the kitchen, or it could be taken camping and used to prepare food, so you don't have to pack your kitchen knives. You could take this and use it to prepare food as well. Let's take a look at this knife in action in the kitchen. Okay, as I mentioned, this Ganzo cleaver came out of the box insanely sharp. So I thought I'd give you a little demonstration of what I do use this knife for. Knives do. And it just chops onions. I have used this a few times for this and have not sharpened or touched up the blade at all. This is still insanely sharp. just chop, chop, chop. So serve two jobs here. I did need to chop up these onions for what I am preparing tonight. So but it works like just like a little cleaver, and it just chops them onions right up. And so make a good little knife in the kitchen, or take camping with you and use it to prepare meals. Whenever we go camping, we're always doing something where we're chopping up some veggies and all that. So this is a nice little knife for that. And like I said, it came out of the box so sharp. I haven't done this quite a bit with it and never have touched it up. All right, back to the review. All right, well, you've seen what this knife can do, and I actually do use it for chopping onions in the kitchen, or chopping up some peppers or some other vegetables and things. And nobody make fun of my knife work in the video. And I'm sure some of you cringing thinking he's gonna cut his fingers. Yeah, hey, suspense. But I survived it, and you've seen this knife in action. That's what I use it for. I couldn't think of anything else to use it for. So if I'm gonna chop some onions, I'll run grab it and use it for that. It has really good action. It flips right open and it will close, just like your Benchmades. And just for scale, we'll put the real Benchmade out here. And this knife, about the same length as a bug out. And this one, I think you're going to recognize some of the features. The blade shape is going to look like a 940 Osborne. And Ganzo is known for imitation. Now they don't do what I call counterfeit. They don't put these out there and claim they're a Osborne or anything like that. They just borrow the design and make a knife, and then make it very cheaply or inexpensively. I wouldn't really call these knives cheap. They feel to be very well made. Like this one has a 440C stainless, which is not, a high end, but it's a serviceable steel. And the model number of this one is actually the F755. And you see here it's Firebird knife made by Ganzo. This one they call F756. It's also 440C, and it's also branded as a Firebird. And this one is Ganzo. It does have the Firebird emblem on it, but they do not mention Firebird. And this is the G704 for those of you that are interested in the style name. This one has left to right clip placement. This one's left to right as well. And this one's also left to right. The knives seem well built. You can see it's centered, and you see the action on this one. This one has, same action as that bug out has. The clip's okay. It's pretty beefy. On all of them, it's pretty much the same clip on these two, and then this one has a little different design, but it's still very, very tight spring, and they they fit in the pocket, and they hold firm. Now, one drawback to these compared to, say, this Benchmade is these weigh a lot more. These are pretty chunky. All three of them are heavy, and this one, even with the it's got a spine here that's pretty thick, but then that blade goes down to a very thin blade, which makes it really good for the chopping. It does chop well. This one blade fairly thick as well, but you can see that frame, even though it's got the cutouts in it, it's still, this is a chunky knife. These are all going to push around 5 ounces, which starts getting a little heavy for your pocket. But I have carried these two just to try them out. This one I really haven't carried because it's like, I really, on an everyday basis, don't know what I'd do with that unless I expect to have to cook or prepare some food at the spur of the moment. But for $25, for those of you just wanting, just getting into collecting knives, or you're looking for a good, sturdy, everyday carry, these seem like a pretty good value. Long term, are they going to hold up? That's hard to say. Will it hold up as long as a Bug Out or a Spyderco? I wouldn't expect so. But for instance, $25, about 110 to 120, depending on where you get it. So you could buy, what, 4 or 5 of these over for what one of these costs. Well, 4 or 5 of these over a lifetime last as long as one of these. Who knows? But have not used and abused these enough to be able to say they're bulletproof or anything like that. But they do work, and they do cut, and I think they would be a good knife for a young person that's just starting to get into knives, or if you like collecting knives and you have your Benchmades and your Spydercos, and you just want a beater to put in your pocket that you don't care if it gets abused and scuffed up, and you're going to do some harsh things to it or put it through some harsh environments, or you end up in a lot of places frequently there where you not supposed to have a knife and you've had to let it get confiscated, or you toss it in the trash to stay out of trouble. And you're not going to cry over a $25 knife like you would over a $100 knife or a $75 knife. But Ganzo makes a lot of different styles and looks, and a lot of them are going to be a copy of other brands that I know I have seen. They make pretty much looks just like the Rat knives, and they may make one. It seems like they might make one with the hole that kind of imitates the Spyderco, but so some people don't like them for that reason. Everything's imitated. That's how we come up with different brands of any item. Somebody invents it, comes up with a style and a features, and somebody else makes something that looks a lot like it because it's popular. So that's what they're doing. And they're Chinese made, so that that cuts their costs down. They can make something a lot cheaper than we can over here, and they um, can make quality products if they want to. You know, so when it comes to Chinese made, if you're not going to disqualify them because they're Chinese made, then if you shop around, you can actually find some good workmanship from there. And I do have a few other budget knives, Chinese made and that sort of thing, that I'll bring out from time to time just to show folks that they can get into some knives that are inexpensive and seem to be a fairly decent value. All right, that's all I got for this go round. We'll see you guys next time. If you like the channel, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.